about one of my other videos at the end, so pay attention. First off, we're going to establish the fact that most people don't get formal financial education. In fact, if you're like me, the only education you got was when you were younger from your parents. Watching them balance a checkbook, which most people don't even have anymore, pay for groceries and things that they didn't really need for in the store, and working a professional tax-paying job every dollar that they earned. Now this is all that most people are taught, to look at the rich, wide-eyed, and frown upon them for their unlawful duties and get-rich-quick immoral schemes. You're not getting the whole story. Now that I'm starting to go on my own, I don't want to follow down their footsteps. And chances are you don't want to either. And after reading a whole bunch of books on financial literacy, investing concepts, and budgeting tips, I'm here to teach you the methods that are different from the norm. The first Selena fact is that I bet you didn't know that her mother gave birth to her when she was 16 years old. Alright, so the first thing we're going to go over was taught to me by Robert Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Okay, so when you're spending your money, you can spend it on two things, assets or liabilities. So let's define liabilities first, since most poor and broke people have more liabilities. A liability is anything that takes money out of your pocket in the long run. If it's costing you daily, monthly, or yearly, we are going to call it a liability. If you own a car and you drive it to work every day, it's a liability because you're paying for gas, you're paying for insurance, and every so often you have to pay for maintenance on the car. You're not making any money with it, so it's a liability. If you own a house and you live in it, it's also a liability. If you pay for that expensive coffee before you head into your job, that's also a liability. Now, let's move on to the other side, the assets. An asset is anything that brings you in money each day, month, or year. For example, if you own an apartment and you're charging rent for $500 a month, this apartment is going to be an asset. If you own a small coffee shop on the corner of the street and you profit $8,000 a month, this is also an asset, because it's bringing money into your hand. If you own solar panels on top of your house and you're getting free electricity from them, but you paid an installation fee of $10,000, this is still an asset, it's just a long-term investment. This YouTube channel is an example of a low-cost investment asset. If you want a list of awesome income-generating assets, subscribe to this channel. There's going to be some awesome videos about this in the future. So, now that we know the difference between assets and liabilities, let's get to the main point. To become rich, you must own as many assets as possible. And if you want a liability, like a $200,000 Lamborghini, you have to own the assets to cover that Lamborghini. The goal is to have more money coming in than going out. So the second Selena fact is, her net worth is estimated to be around $45 million. Alright, on to the next topic. Remember earlier I mentioned something called a long-term investment asset? Well, this is what the rich and super wealthy spend their money on. If you could pay $100 to upload a video, but for the rest of your life you earned $1 a month for that video, would you? I definitely would, and in fact, that's basically what I'm doing with this channel. The idea is to spend money on investments that continually bring money in each month, even if it takes a couple months or a year to pay off. The super rich live for the long term. And if you've ever played StarCraft, you know the best way to win is to get the most minerals in the early game. Just like if you've played any of those automatic tapping games, once you get a couple automatic tappers going, you're set and you just have to wait. This is the idea you're going to have to implement in your life if you want to be super rich. Instead of buying extra mineral harvesters or automatic tappers, you have to buy assets, such as renting apartments, YouTube channels, or solar panels. The third fact about Selena is that she currently has the most liked photo on Instagram, and also it's reported that she makes over $500,000 a year simply from her Instagram posts. So now we are moving on to a specific definition of being rich. So I've heard this quote before that said being rich is to have a lot of money, and being wealthy is to have a lot of time. But this video is going to be focusing on having a ton of both. Who wouldn't want to spend their summer on a mega yacht with tons of awesome friends and family, eating amazing food and doing fun stuff? First, we are going to define absolute income. So, absolute income is the total amount of money somebody makes per year, regardless of their living conditions. This could be $30,000, $120,000, or $500,000. Absolute income doesn't take anything else into analysis, just the raw number a person is profiting. And this is where most people think wrong when they think of rich. Let me introduce you to a new idea I learned from reading The 4-Hour Workweek by Timothy Ferriss. Relative income, on the other hand, is the amount of money someone makes versus the amount of freedom they have. For example, I'm going to give you two people and you have to tell me who has the higher relative income. John is working in New York City. He works 80 hours a week, but he earns $160,000 a year. He can't move and he has to live in this polluted, highly populated city of New York. On the other hand, we have Jerome. Now, Jerome is pretty cool because he only works 10 hours a week, but he only earns $40,000. However, since Jerome is self-employed and his income comes from advertisers, he can live virtually anywhere in the world. So who is wealthier? Technically, John earns more. but Jerome has more freedom. Jerome can move to Cuba where he could buy a luxurious house for $30,000, while John has to pay $2,000 a month for his apartment. If we break it down, John earns $38 an hour, but Jerome earns a whopping $77 an hour for his time. So if we take the idea and apply it to another topic Rich Dad Poor Dad taught me, we should cultivate our lives trying to earn as much money for each hour of our lives as possible to become rich. It's simple. If we can cultivate our time to be worth $500 an hour, and we work half as much as someone who can earn $10 an hour, we will always be wealthier than them. Basically, focus on relative income by calculating how much you earn per hour, even if you're salaried, as well as how much freedom you have in life. The fourth fact about Selena is that she chews pickle-flavored gum and drinks olive oil to protect her amazing voice. Alright, so here's another topic I want to talk about, but this is only for business owners who wish to build an empire and pay for their dreams without paying any taxes. In America, there is a way to do this. Let me give you an example. In the American tax system, and quite frankly, some other tax systems worldwide, if you own a business, even if it's not classified as a business and it's just self-employed income, and your business technically loses money, you don't have to pay taxes. For example, if I spend $500 creating a video, and that video only earns me $400, I have a net loss of $100 and I don't have to pay a dime in taxes. The secret is finding creative ways to write off those deductions in a legal manner. If you do it in an illegal manner, this is called tax fraud and is a serious crime, so I recommend consulting a professional before attempting this. In most cases, for the self-employed, you can do this by making items you would naturally buy a write-off. For example, if I wanted to eat some caviar, I could buy some caviar, make a tutorial on how to cook and eat caviar, and then use the price of the caviar as a tax deduction. Big corporate entrepreneurs do this with Lamborghinis. They just write them off as a company car. Or the same with a giant skyscraper, a vlogging camera, expensive gaming computer, or the $8,000 suit they just bought. Of course they could use it to improve the quality of their life, but from the business and government world, it was used to improve the business, which in theory improves the economy, so you don't have to pay taxes on it. Oh, and now that you're quite invested into this video, I want to introduce a new idea. There's a psychological effect called the sunk cost bias, which means that after you have spent a certain amount of money or time and effort into something, you become emotionally attached to it and you don't want to leave it in fear that you'll lose the losses. For example, there's still more of this video to watch. And if you've made it this far, chances are you realize how much value there is. And even if I don't produce any more value in this video, you're going to watch it to the end. I do not fill the rest of this video with crap, but I just want to entertain you with this idea. This is also why many people who are in a dead-end relationship won't end it, because they feel they've invested too much into it and don't want to waste the opportunity it could have to get better. The next topic I'm going to talk about is the difference between a producer and a performer. So in the book, The Self-Made Billionaire Effect, the author states that all billionaires fall into the producer category. A producer is someone who produces raw content, they create new strategies, and invent. Producers create value from nothing and actually give orders to performers. A performer, on the other hand, is someone that uses existing processes, and a great analogy of this type of person is a factory line worker. They're fast, engineered to reduce errors, and they just do what they're told. Now, before we go into which is better, you need to understand supply and demand, and this is super important, and I haven't seen it in any other video. It's not that producers are better. It's just that there are usually less of them, and this is because they have to take risk, which means that the demand for them is higher. There is significant evidence that there will always be a low supply of producers. Which means if you want to rake in the big bucks, you've got to be really good at producing things. Start pumping out more interesting images on your Instagram feed, start posting more YouTube videos, and start producing more and more content overall. If you really want to take the entrepreneurial side of it, combine this concept with the 4-hour work week and outsource this. You could pay someone $5 to upload a relevant, creative image on a feed once a day, and if you have a large enough audience, you'd be creating enough value in their lives that adds up to way more than $5. And potentially advertisers would start messaging you. I wish I could go on about this topic, and I may in another video, but we have to move on. I've got another Selena fact. At the time of this upload, it has been said that she has lupus, and combined with the stress that she's been receiving lately, she plans to take all of the entire year of 2017 off from music production and social media together. But there is a psychological side of this. This means that when she comes back in 2018, because of her scarcity, she will have a higher perceived value. So one last thing that you should know before this video ends and you start your path to becoming a super luxurious billionaire is that all wealthy people focus more on opportunities than obstacles. In fact, they see every problem as an opportunity to add value and earn more money. For example, it took you 3 hours to hook up your new TV. You were really frustrated. So why don't you contact the manufacturer with a simple tutorial brochure that you created and tell them you'll either sell it to them for $300 or $1 per TV sold, whichever is higher and fits your current budget best. The idea here is to change your thinking from seeing an event as a frustrating obstacle, seeing it hope-filled with opportunity. Let me give you another example. I started this channel for a couple reasons, but the big one was that I saw a gap in the market. You probably know Fight Mediocrity, the most subscribed YouTuber who makes animated book reviews. Well, I noticed a couple months ago he was slacking, but there were still people wanting to watch his videos. He was probably doing this to make his videos scarce, which in turn gave them a higher perceived value, just like the Selena Gomez example earlier. But I wanted to fill that gap. I loved reading, so I bought a whole bunch of books, the software to make the videos, and made my own videos. Now, I'm branching out to general advice and mixing all kinds of knowledge I can find and regurgitating it in this super interesting and engaging format. I saw a problem. Fight Mediocrity wasn't uploading as much as the market wanted, so I filled that gap for like 2 or 3 months, and I made at least 8 book reviews every month. Now, as a result, this channel has almost 30,000 subscribers, helps millions of viewers, and brings me in a decent amount of money. Enough that I'm a college student and I don't need any other job. And I think that's pretty cool. Our last interesting fact about Selena is that she's the youngest ever UNICEF's Goodwill Ambassador. If you're still watching, don't worry, we're about to get to that secret about that video that I mentioned in the beginning of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned something, and if you did, please leave a big fat like down there. It lets me know that I should make more videos like this. Also, if you enjoyed this video, you might want to check out these 2 videos below. They're on the same topic and they go even more in depth than this video into technical stuff. If you want more videos like this, click the subscribe button, and thanks for watching. Oh yeah, at the beginning I said something about a secret thing about one of my videos. If you watch the video on the psychological tricks to get a girl to like you, you'll notice that the thumbnail has Chloe Grace Moretz, but since you watched this whole video, I want to give you a secret. In the thumbnail, her eyes were blue. Her eyes aren't actually blue. Anyways, thanks for watching, I hope you guys enjoyed.